Welcome back to Cookbook Junction, where vintage recipes and the stories behind them come back to life. Today's dish is a frothy, boozy dessert with roots in royal banquets and immigrant kitchens. Earlier this week, we asked if anyone could name this vintage dessert made with wine and cream. The answer? Wine Syllabub. The vintage dessert is from the 1947 edition of the Settlement Cookbook. The Settlement Cookbook was compiled by Lizzie Black Kander, a Milwaukee-based civic leader and reformer. First published in 1901, the book wasn't just a collection of recipes, it was a guide to American life. Through household advice, affordable recipes, and nutrition tips, Lizzie used the cookbook to help young immigrant women, many of them Jewish, adapt to life in a new country. It became a national success, selling over 2 million copies. By the third edition, the book's profits were funding real change. This is the Abraham Lincoln House, opened in 1911 as a community hub offering classes in hygiene, nutrition, and child care. Paid for by 50-cent cookbooks, this building became a center for resettlement services and later evolved into Milwaukee's Jewish Community Center. Lizzie's legacy lives on in bricks, recipes, and resilience. Syllabub may sound unfamiliar today, but from the 1600s to the early 20th century, it was a dessert staple. In its earliest form, syllabub was a drink made by mixing cream with sweet wine or cider and letting it gently curdle before serving. Now, supposedly King Charles II was such a fan, he reportedly kept palace cows just for the purpose. The word syllabub likely comes from Sélé, a wine-producing region in France, combined with bub, an Old English slang for a bubbly drink. By the 1800s, syllabub evolved into a whipped dessert, what was called an everlasting syllabub, able to sit elegantly at room temperature and hold its froth. By the 1800s, syllabub evolved into a whipped dessert. Now, let's make the version from the 1947 Settlement Cookbook. We need the juice of 1 lemon in a large bowl. Then mix in 3/4 cups of sugar. Pour in 1 cup of sweet wine. It's your choice of either sherry, Madeira, or port wine. We're going to stir this until the sugar dissolves. And now we're going to add a pint of whipped cream. And we're going to whip the cream until it's soft and frothy. You don't want it too stiff. Now fold into the mixture. We're going to add a little nutmeg and some cinnamon. And then we're going to cover this and refrigerate for about 30 minutes because we really want this to chill. Once it's chilled, the recipe calls for, or it is optional, to place a wine-soaked bit of cake at the bottom of your glass. I'm using sponge cake for this recipe. Now we're going to put the syllabub mixture on top of the cake. And there you have it. I'm garnishing with some raspberries, mint, and a little bit of sliced lemon rind. This was a dessert of the past that deserves a comeback. And thanks to Lizzie Candler's work, it lived on through war, immigration, and assimilation, preserving culture one recipe at a time. Thanks for joining me on this time-traveling dessert journey. Next time, I'm making an interesting bread that I have to fry. We'll see how this comes out. And don't forget to subscribe and head over to Instagram for trivia, behind the scenes, and more cookbook history. See you next time.